Up until this point, you've been focusing too much on the actual specifics of the techniques that you need to use to study something like A-level maths, for example. And the truth is that you've tried little bits of all of these and none of them have worked for you. Otherwise, you'd be getting A stars right now and you wouldn't have clicked on this video and you wouldn't need to hear anything what I have to say. As of recording this video, you have 2 months until your first A-level exam, so there's no more beating around the bush. There's no more theory. I'm going to be autistically specific about the exact details of some of the basics that you need to do before anything else. Get a piece of paper, open a new tab, start taking notes. Do something, and after this video, take action right away. Okay, the focus of this video is going to be the fucking basics, which all of you are already failing, so your potential is limited before you've even done anything else. I'm talking about your physical health. This is something that your teachers will never tell you about. The body is a biological machine that responds to different inputs and how you treat it. And the brain is a part of this. The first and foremost priority you should have for the next 2 months and really for the rest of your life is sleep. This is when your body and your brain is able to recover and have enough energy to go throughout the day and do every process that you need it to for the rest of the day. This is the most important thing you can optimize. You've been told so far that you need 8 hours of sleep, which 1 is extremely misleading, but 2, when you say you need 8 hours of sleep, many of you will think, okay, I've gotten 7 hours of sleep, that's almost 8 hours, which is good enough. There are 2 glaring issues with that. 1, the time that you are in bed is not the same as the time that you are sleeping for. So when doctors, for example, recommend that you get 8 hours of sleep, they do mean that. That's not necessarily incorrect. That's 8 hours of sleep. That's not the same as 8 hours in bed. If you are generally healthy, which many of you are not, even then, your average sleep efficiency will be something like 80%. What this means is that even if you are in bed for 8 hours, which many of you are not, but if you are in bed for 8 hours, you are sleeping for less than 6.5 hours. Now pair this with the fact that many of you are in bed for 7, 6, 5 hours a night. And you do this for multiple days in a row. And you can suddenly see that you are completely sleep deprived every day because you're missing 2, 3, 4 hours a day that your body vitally needs to recover and that your brain, more importantly, vitally needs to recover. And that's not even taking into account the time it takes for you to actually fall asleep. Here, I've assumed that you put your head on the pillow and you fall asleep straight away, which isn't even true. You are literally sleep deprived. I do not understand how this is not something that people are prioritizing more. It's literally the fucking quickest and easiest win with the highest leverage that you could take from today. You could literally go to bed today and be in bed for 10, 9 hours. It's the easiest, quickest thing you could do, and still most of you will not do this. And this isn't even just a productivity or study hack. This will literally affect every area of your life. Because you've been sleep deprived for so long, just fixing this one it's so simple, it's such a simple thing, and fixing it will literally improve every aspect of your life, every single one. You'll probably gain 10 IQ points just by not being sleep deprived. And as a fucking bonus, by going to sleep at the same time every night and by getting adequate sleep every night, you literally start to become more efficient in your sleep as well. So instead of having an 80% sleep efficiency, you maybe get an 85, 90, 95% sleep efficiency. It's almost like your body wants you to sleep on time. Okay, the next thing is brain fog. There's a few reasons for brain fog, so I'm going to talk about each of them and the fixes for each. Okay, the first cause of brain fog is the food that you eat, the amount that you eat, and the time that you eat. I'm going to put that all into one category. Most of you don't realize this, and nobody's ever told you this before, but everything your body does has some kind of price. Every process that it carries out has some cost. Digestion is one of the most expensive things that your body can do, and different foods are treated and digested by your body differently. Now, for this issue, you have 2 camps of people. The first is the person that eats whatever they want, whenever they want. The person that kind of just gets hungry and then they just eat something to satisfy the hunger. And the second person is the kind of gym cell, the person who says, if it fits my macros, then I'm gonna eat it, and they kind of wreck their body by doing a bulk or a cut, and it's all fucking stupid, by the way. I'll probably make another video about that at some point. Anyway, they focus on the macros of the thing that they're eating because they've been told that they need this amount of protein and this amount of carbs and this amount of calories, blah, 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 blah. The point is that they don't take into consideration how much they eat and what they eat and when they eat. So very often they eat large amounts of food at the wrong times. Now I've actually made a full video about what you should do in each of these cases and what foods to eat and when to eat them and how much to eat, etc., etc. That's all in a full video. However, the basic rundown I can give you for the purposes of this video is to eat less around the times that you need to study. Essentially, minimize the cost of digestion when you need energy in other parts, i.e. your brain. And also just eat from clean sources. This is such an easy win as well. Instead of having the fucking McDonald's, just eat something clean. It's very basic. As a first step, I mean, you can, of course, optimize this and add many different things and have these like supplements, and you can get very into this, but as a very first basic step, just don't eat processed crap. I mean, that's simple enough, isn't it? Okay, the second cause of brain fog is cognitive overload. This means that your brain is overactive for certain parts of, for certain amounts of time, and it has to compensate by essentially giving you that mush feeling, you know, that kind of fog, my brain has turned to mush feeling, which is extremely harmful if you are trying to study. There's a reason that some people just can't study. And of course, if you have that mush feeling in your brain, it is going to be far more difficult to do anything. The cause of this then is, of course, very stimulating cognitive tasks. This could be something like video games or texting or getting notifications on your phone or music or scrolling, and that is the big one. Scrolling is actually such a big one that I've dedicated an entire video to that, which is yet to be released. So if you want to stay tuned for that, simply subscribe to the channel. Anyway, the point is, a lot of the tasks that you're doing right now that you think are relaxing, that are kind of a break from the heavy cognitive load of doing the studying, are more cognitively demanding than the studying itself. For example, 5 minutes of scrolling, which many of you are not going to do, let's be real. Very few people can actually scroll for 5 minutes. More likely it's going to be 5 minutes turns into 15 minutes, turns into 20 minutes, turns into half an hour. But let's say you did 5 minutes of scrolling. That 5 minutes of scrolling, although physically it is less demanding, you maybe sat down and relaxed with your feet up, is actually far, far more cognitively demanding than something like an hour of studying. Look at the ratios here. 5 minutes of scrolling is about as cognitively demanding as an hour of studying. These two things are not equal. Do not assume that they are equal. Do not assume that 5 minutes of scrolling is 5 minutes of studying that you've lost. It is not. And the reason for this is that when you scroll, you're essentially attaching and detaching from different scenarios. Your brain is kind of like entering a new scenario and then removing itself from that scenario. And it's doing this every scroll. It's doing this hundreds and hundreds of times. It's the equivalent of putting your caveman brain into a different jungle every time. It's like you go in this jungle and then there's the tiger trying to catch you, and then it's very stimulating, and then all of a sudden, before you know it, you get taken out of that one, you get put in that one, and it's just over and over again. It's completely absolutely the most stimulating thing you can do for your brain. So of course, the easy fix for this is going to be to not scroll at all for the next 2 months, deleting Instagram and YouTube and all of these things. Obviously not my channel, you can still look at my channel. So the easy fix for this is obviously going to be not to scroll, not to look at shorts or reels or TikTok for the next 2 months. However, I know that people are going to watch this video and none of you are going to actually do that. None of you have the discipline or the courage to delete those apps and to not scroll. So, like I said again, I've dedicated an entire video specifically to the issue of scrolling and how to stop and the actual effect it has on the brain in more detail. And I'm going to be releasing that very soon. So subscribe and make sure to stay tuned for that, like I mentioned earlier. Now, the third cause of brain fog is a sedentary lifestyle. And I'm not going to go into the specific scientific details of why that is here, because that's not the purpose of this video. But a simple way you can think about this is through evolutionary biology. Physical relaxation is one signal for your brain to relax. So if you are physically relaxed in some kind of scenario, let's say you've caught your meal for the day and you're now sat down to eat it. You're physically relaxed because you've sat down, you're not actively hunting anymore, and as a result you become mentally relaxed. What physical activity does is that it signals to your brain that there is some kind of focus that is required right now. So running, for example, if you are running, this signals to your brain, evolutionary speaking, that let's say you're chasing the deer. When you're chasing the deer, you need maximal focus because it is a life or death situation. If you do not catch the deer, you could go without food for days. If you do catch the deer, then you have food for days. It's literally survival. Similarly, if you are running from the predator, that physical activity is a life or death situation. You need maximal focus for this, and your body acts accordingly. Physical activity signals mental clarity. How do you put that into practice? Well, firstly, exercising regularly is something that you should do, which has wider benefits than just the scope of this video anyway. But the second thing that you could do that is more focused is to use physical activity as a real mental resetting tool. So what that looks like in practice is, for example, let's say you've been studying for an hour and you're starting to get that brain fog because you've used up some cognitive load. You can use physical activity to reset that. You can literally, for example, just go for a 5-minute walk. That's all. It could be as simple as that. Go for a 5-minute walk, do some stretches, do some, I don't know, jumping jacks if you really need to. And you will be amazed at the actual effect that has on your brain immediately. Another way you can use this is when you do inevitably do something like scrolling or something that will cause brain fog, just like studying can if you do it for a long enough amount of time, because brain fog really is just cognitive load. It's just basically like the same way that you would get pain when you're doing exercises. If you're lifting weights, for example, you get pain in your muscles. Brain fog is essentially like your brain's way of experiencing pain. So when you do inevitably slip up and you do something like scroll, you can also use physical activity as a short and quick reset. If you found this video useful but you wanted some more specific advice about how to implement some of the ideas that I spoke about here, or tackle some issues that you have that I didn't speak about in this video, then I've left a Google form in the description and you can message me directly, or we can get on a one-to-one 20-minute call where we can look at the specifics of the details of the situation that you're in and the problems that you're having. By the way, I cannot stress enough that this is completely free of charge. Helping you helps me make these videos even better. Thank you for watching.